evolutions of what has happened. We've heard of bubbles, we've heard of cruise tourism restarting. However, our protocols, and even though we were the last independent nation in the Caribbean to reopen, have helped us to be in the position that we are in now to help us to promote tourism and travel again to St. Kitts and Nevis. We're not gloating, however, it is important for us to share with the world that sees St. Kitts and Nevis about what we have to offer. But before we do that, we have to educate them on how we've managed the pandemic. And to the help of our CMO and to the task force, we've managed to have no deaths, no clusters, and no community spread. And with only 41 cases, it is a very it's an extreme accomplishment. And last week, Minister Grant and I were on a call with cruise line partners for the Eastern Caribbean, including Jamaica, and everyone was quite shocked at how St. Kitts and Nevis, our other tourism cruise partners, we had managed and mitigate the spread of COVID-19. What was sad as they gave their updates, every other nation, every other country that was on their cases were over in the hundreds. So we must be grateful that we're in the position that we're in. We are quite optimistic. I am optimistic, and so is my team. It doesn't mean that we will not have challenges, but we'll be rebuilding tourism, and it will be a process and it will take time. I will start quickly with cruise, because cruise is going to be the one that is most dependent on the vaccination rollout. To date, the CDC and the Biden administration in the United States, they have not moved forward with test cruises that were to start this month. However, we wait and we hear what they have to say. But what is clear is that there is one cruise line already, and it is Crystal Cruises, and it is one of the most high-end cruise lines. They do come to St. Kitts. They've come to St. Kitts in the past and to Nevis. They have already indicated that they will require all cruise passengers to take the vaccine. So we see that in the marketplace already a demographic of cruisers are going to be required to do this, to have the vaccine. Cruise, so we wait. We wait to see what happens. We haven't had test cruises yet, which will be the preliminary state for passenger cruising that they hoped would have started sometime March, April. However, we wait to see what happens, but we do know that the vaccination rollout is going to be very essential, and it is going to help in building out itineraries that St. Kitts and Nevis will share. For stayover tourism for air arrivals, we opened in October, and we know that we've had visitation, but only about 25% of those persons were vacation in place international travelers versus quarantine for returning nationals and residents. However, what is important to note is that the persons that are coming to St. Kitts and Nevis, from the information we have received, is that where they do stay speaks to the demographic of Four Seasons, the Marriott, and Park Hyatt. So those persons are very intrigued by the destination, even though we still do not have the numbers that we had previously. They chose St. Kitts and Nevis because of the travel requirements. Some of them have said it was very strict, but when they got here, they said, oh, this is why. So at the end of the day, as we move forward into Q1, we thought it was important for the first quarter of 2021 to speak through PR to get the word out about how we had done over the last 3 months. And over the last I would say over the last month or so, Minister Grant and I have been doing interviews with very esteemed media persons who can get the word out about St. Kitts. Minister Grant has done an interview with eTurbo News as it speaks to the destination, and it goes over both Spotify and SoundCloud, which is beyond the traditional Facebook and Instagram mediums. But what was important was that we reached persons as far as South Africa, and they were interested in the destination, not just for tourism, but for also persons who would like to buy a second home or thinking about relocating. We've also done interviews with traditional Caribbean journalists. However, one of the most important things is that when we do interviews with journalists, we do not decide what their header or what they're going to decide to write about. They ask us questions. And in the first destination coverage that was done through Caribbean Journal, the header was St. Kitts and Nevis model tourism reopening. And it had a lot to say, not just about us as a destination, but what is important was that it also compared with what was happening in other Caribbean destinations and how we managed COVID-19 to date and how we're mitigating it for international travel. Also, Travel Weekly, which is very well known for the travel trade, we were given the headline, A New Definition of Success in St. Kitts. It spoke to our travel protocols, what was happening on the destination, and as we reopen. In just 1 week, Travel Pulse featured St. Kitts 3 times and recognizing us for our management of COVID-19. They had headings such as Protocols, Ignite Tourism Relaunch, Safest Destinations to Visit in the Caribbean was the most recent one published on the 21st of February. So what is important is that the destination is not just getting publicity, but who we're getting publicity with in terms of journalists. And most important, yesterday, the Forbes Travel Guide published an entire feature on St. Kitts and Nevis with advice on where to stay, where to eat, what to do, and what to see. And many persons in our demographic read Forbes magazine because it does speak to wealth, it speaks to investment, it speaks to what's going on in the demographic that comes to St. Kitts and Nevis. Also, the Points Guy, he features us later actually today in an article about the best beaches in the Caribbean, and St. Kitts was featured. So what we've been trying to do is to have a very heavy PR plan for Q1, and we hope that as we continue to do that, we were hoping that the vaccination rollout would continue in our source market. And as we've seen, that we saw today that President Biden is rolling out additional support for additional vaccinations to move up from July to May for most persons in the United States to receive their first vaccine. So what this has been saying over the last couple of weeks with the development of the rollout of the vaccination is that there's been consumer confidence. Persons are feeling safer to travel, and so we believe with the PR that we speak about and the vaccination, we are hoping on April 1st to do our first active promotion in the marketplace, supported by PR, but having an offer for the destination to promote St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm currently in discussions with our hotelier, so I don't want to get into details about it. But what is important is that we'll have a universal offer. Persons will be seeing the destination through Spot TV and other digital marketing channels. And it will not just be our traditional feeder markets. We're going to focus on feeder markets such as Montana, Kansas. And the reason why I say that is because in the month of February, we launched as a part of our PR plan, Retie the Knot photo contest. And I know it sounds very simple. However, persons who would like to win a trip and come to St. Kitts, and they would win a trip by submitting their photo and give 75 words why they should be chosen. The trip is the reward of the trip is to come to St. Kitts in November to attend the group vow renewal that we're hoping will still take place. And vow renewals are a very popular thing for persons who have been married for more than a year. If you're married for 50 years, if you're married for 4 years. And we've seen from this contest just alone, we're picking up persons in those states such as Montana, Kansas, places like Idaho, places that we've never really had quite a big reach for St. Kitts. So what is important for us is that we're building out our PR for Q1. In Q2, as we see consumer confidence rebuild, we're hoping for stayover visitation to be incremental, and we know it's still rebuilding, so we know the numbers are not going to be as significant as they were in 2019 or 2018, but we're pushing the destination and we're ensuring that we have a long travel window and a long booking window to encourage persons to book, so that they don't have to feel that they're pressured to book now and then if something happens and they cancel. Flexibility is important in this promotion that we're doing, and so we'll be pushing that between April 1st to September 5th when the promotion was running. Thereafter that, we will focus on Q4, which is the winter, and all indications based on the rollout of the vaccine and consumer confidence for the US market is indicating that there's pent-up demand for travel in our demographic. And so it is important for us to be ready in the marketplace to promote the destination in Q4. So for us, we're optimistic. I'm not saying that it is going to happen overnight. It's rebuilding tourism, but we know if we rebuild tourism, it has the ability for not just the traditional sector such as our hotels, but our non-traditional sector such as our Alarub vendors, our primate vendors, our craft vendors, persons who have found another source of income to become dependent on over the last 5 years with the increase of tourism. So I say to everyone that is in the tourism industry, I ask you to please take the vaccine. It is essential for rebuilding and continuing the reopening and lessening the restrictions for tourism so that we can have more visitors come to the destination. Thank you.
Thank you so much.